Alright, students, today you're going to be taking notes on 1.3. It's the second day of notes for it, so put 1.3 notes 2. Today we're going to be talking about determining precision of calculations. Now, the first idea is it's kind of like a rule of 0.5 units. Now, there are errors on anything that you have to measure with. So any ruler or really fancy machine that you have that measures, even a laser ruler, if you were to have one of those like they had in that Spare Parts movie, you would have to account for the error. Alright? So the idea is, if you're trying to find, well, let's say, what's the minimum and maximum area for a carpet or box or something? It doesn't really matter. Let's do box. That's probably a better size here. And the box is 21 centimeters by 28.3 centimeters. So they've measured it out, but the ruler that they used to measure it is off. And even if it isn't off, if you look at a ruler, like this nice fake ruler I just made right here a second ago, if I'm measuring something and I'm looking at it, this pencil goes about halfway through these rules. So it's like 4 and not quite all the way to 5. It's halfway in between. Well, you can't tell exactly where that is. You can't tell me that's 0.6 or 0.7, right? It's not, even if you could, it's not good habit unless if there is something there to tell you. So we would just call it 4.5 units long, whatever this is, inches or whatever, okay? But you were only allowed to do up to 0.5. So now we know that it's measured within 0.5 of this, and that's the error. Obviously, this has got a lot of error because it's a pretty crappy ruler. I just made it with a piece of paper and a marker. So, the idea is you have the actual length is always going to be between two things. It's going to be less than the max and greater than the minimum. So to find the minimum of anything, so let's say the width here, the minimum is always, or whatever unit you're talking about here, it's going to be your original measured length minus 0.5 of the smallest units. And here it's 0.5 because we didn't measure out to any decimal places. The max, same thing, is going to be the measured plus 0.5. Now, max obviously is bigger, minimum is smaller, that's why we have the minus with the min, plus with the max. So your min for the width is 20.5 width. The max is 21.5. Okay? Let's do the same thing for length here. Length. Now, because they measured out to the decimal place here, the first decimal place, our half unit here is actually going to be half of whatever this unit is, 0.05. So since they measured it more accurately here, the error is smaller. Instead of having a whole half a centimeter as an error like we did for the width, now we only have half of 1/100th of a centimeter. Okay? So 28.3 plus 0.05. 28.3 plus 0.05. And that gives us the maximum length of 28.35 and the minimum length of 28.25. So our length, our actual length, because our measurement's not perfect and it's not going to be this number, it's going to be between these two here. So you have length here. It's going to be between the minimum 28.25 centimeters and 28.35 centimeters. Now, if we have the length and the width of something, we can find the area. So in the past, you would have just multiplied 21 times 28.3 and you would have gotten some number in here, right? But that number has an error built into it. We've now accounted for those errors, the minimum and the maximum. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the minimum area by multiplying the minimum width and the minimum length. And you're going to find the maximum area, which you find by multiplying the maximum width and the maximum length. And that will give you a range, min and max, of the area. So the idea here is, I'm going to scoot this a little bit so you might miss something for a second. 20.5 times 28.25. This is the minimum area, whatever that number is. All right. Go ahead and try that on your own for a second. You can pause the video if you need to. So the minimum area should be approximately 579 centimeters squared. For the max area, right, you multiply the maximum width, 21.5, times the maximum length, 28.35. Multiply those two things, and you should get 610 centimeters squared. So the actual area of our shape, well, the max is 610 centimeters squared. The minimum is 579 centimeters squared. The actual is going to be between those two numbers, right? It's probably somewhere a little bit below 600, right? But who knows for sure? We can only approximate things. So that's the first part of what you're going to do, and I'm going to have another short video in a second here because I'm running out of time. So I'm going to have another short video, and I'll email all of these to you, so you should have them in your email, and you can watch them over and over again.